Finding the right foundation is a nightmare, and you see what a nightmare it is because it's all over the internet. How to find the right foundation. We're talking about texture in this video, then we'll talk about color. It's so hard because back in the days, foundations were oil-based or maybe water-based, but there weren't many ingredients that made foundations. Whereas nowadays, we have so many ingredients that make completely different formulas. That's why I decided to put foundations in two categories. This is how I think about foundations. You have coverage and then you have sheer foundations. So foundations that can change your face in a way, and then foundations who make you look like yourself. Coverage foundations, let's for example say MAC Studio FX, you have one Narcissus like this as well. These are, or Estee Lauder Double Wear and so on, these are very thick foundations that you use to cover up blemishes and make your skin completely clean, photoshopped. And these are pretty much night out foundations, and the way they're made, no, let me correct myself, they're not night out foundations, depends how you use them. For example, if you have dry skin, you put a greasy cream over, you can put Double Wear then over by Estee Lauder, and even though being a very thick foundation, it will glide on nicely, and you can take just a tiny pinch of it and it will spread evenly, and it will be a good coverage for you. Whereas on dehydrated skin, for example, that will be a disaster, because on dehydrated skin you just can't make such foundations work well. And now let me explain why. Coverage foundations have opaque fillers in them, let's say powders or clay or cut silk, so that they cover, that you put something on the skin that stays on the skin and covers blemishes, for example, spots, pigmentation, freckles, and so on. Think about them as a layer, a pied layer that stays on your face, and that's why they tend to go in creases as well, because they have that stuff in it. And then on the other hand, you have foundations that are pigment-based foundations, which means that they just have pigments that even out your skin tone. But those pigments are just color, so it's like evening out your skin tone. They can't cover certain blemishes. I mean, if you have freckles, these definitely won't cover freckles, but they'll just even your skin tone. And that's exactly why they work on dehydrated skin, because sheer foundations which have just pigment don't cover and don't dry out the face. And because, for example, on dehydrated skin, the skin surface is dry, with coverage foundations, they would leave a trace, so they would just clock together on the skin surface, go in creases and so on, whereas pigment foundations don't. Which brings us to the fact that it's almost impossible for me to recommend you the right foundation, because it all depends also on your pH level, and I actually need to look at your skin in real life to be able to recommend it, but then still I wouldn't know how it will react on a long run. And I know how depressing this might sound, though it's a truth. I can't sell you anything miraculous because it's impossible. Whoever says that, oh, this is a foundation, you should use it just by looking at your answers, maybe that you put on a piece of paper, is definitely a lie. This doesn't work like this. Maybe it will in the future, but for now it doesn't. Whereas I still am building a system which is sort of a secret how it will work, but because you subscribe to this system, you'll see how I'll be developing it throughout the years, and hopefully it will start working really soon. Well, in a year definitely. I need a year definitely, but it will be a system that will help you recommend foundations with the help of community. But back to the foundations. So far, I want you to start thinking about how foundations are made. What is a thick foundation? What is a pigment-based foundation? In order to choose the right one for you. What I mean by that is you usually need 2, or I even support 3 foundations different. And the reason being is first texture and then color, which we'll discuss about in the next tutorial. And when it comes to texture, I mean foundations that you have for a day and foundation that you wear at night or for evening events, because coverage foundations are usually very drying, and they're not good to wear each day. So if you manage to make a barrier between your skin and the foundation, like for example, if you have dry skin, you put something greasy on that stays on the face. If you have dehydrated skin, it will be really hard to find something that will stay on your skin so that you would be able to seal that roof. For example, silicons might work, but on the long run they might damage your skin as well. So you see how complicating this is getting, which means that I encourage you to have days without foundation. Especially be really careful using thick foundations. You can feel them thick in hands. They're heavy, they're sticky, and such foundations can actually ruin your skin. I've seen so many cases of younger girls applying, for example, MAC Studio FX, which is very drying and heavy. They go crazy about that foundation, pile it all over their faces, and wearing such foundations on the long run can dry your skin out that much that your collagen breaks and you start looking older than you actually are. I mean, the amount of girls, mainly, I've seen with ruined skin, with ruined collagen, is ridiculous. They are a lot of them. And that's what I want you to be careful about. Because even though you feel like, oh, this is an amazing foundation, it covers my skin, it stays on 24, 48 hours. If something is on your face for such a long time, it might be bad for you. That's why I push you towards the foundations that work mainly with pigments, so that you just even out your skin tone. And that's why I support also putting a tiny amount of foundation on your face, and then, let's say, covering areas that need a bit more with the right concealer, which is a problem on its own. That's why I dedicated it a whole section there as well. I almost wanted to finish this video, but completely forgot to tell you about foundations that have silica in them, or different kinds of silicones, and you start to see them on the market a lot. And these are awesome foundations, because what they do is they leave bubbles, like water in bubbles sitting on your face, and they prevent water from evaporating from your skin. Think about it as if you've seen on YouTube that video that has a lot of black balls on a surface of a lake, so that the lake doesn't disappear, doesn't evaporate throughout the summer, because they bounce all the light and everything and just keep the moisture inside. These foundations work pretty much the same way. So for example, if before you have coverage foundations that have powder in them, or even hyaluronic acid in a way, so that it absorbs water and adds water to your skin surface, or cut fibers of silk. Those foundations still absorbed also your water from the skin. That's why they stick on your face that much. Whereas these foundations tend to sit on your face, and you can feel them when you touch them like this. They feel like dry, wet, but dry. And you have Yves Saint Laurent has one foundation like this, and well, there are quite a couple. Pericon has an amazing one as well. And what I want to say is that you'll be seeing more and more of such foundations, which I support, but my knowledge of all those complicated ingredients is not big enough so that I would be able to say, okay, that is good to put on your skin. Because I know that some micro stuff is not. I would just avoid some micro things, because there are a lot of foundations like that, and I think something that penetrates your skin too much and is unnatural is just not good to put on your face. But yeah, you see how wide the knowledge about this stuff is when it comes to foundations. That's why I tend to apply tiny foundation in tiny amounts. And especially I started using natural foundations, because when I read the label, I understand what's in them, and they turned out to be really good for my face. They don't do such miracles as some high-end crazy 50-pound foundations like Pericon, for example. But I believe also I'm a supporter of touching up your face throughout the day. That's why I don't mind if the foundation doesn't stay on for a whole day, because I believe that even if it's an amazing foundation, it still won't look that good as if you just retouch a bit throughout the day.